Welcome to the Reflection Show. My name is Ramces. You never go to the mirror scripted, but you always go unscripted. And today, you've never heard his voice. But this will be the first place where history is in the making. He is a singer-songwriter. He is a producer. He is a vocal arranger. He is everything in the music business that you are going to see. Why? He is in this chair today on the Reflection Show. Make some noise for the one and only Erik Griggs, a.k.a. Blu2th!
You got me wanting to clap like it's somebody else. I'm like, who is that? Oh, me? Okay.
Blu2th!
Wow.
Come on, man.
Wow. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
Pleasure's mine, man.
To have you on the show and to lead these people, as I said. I believe after this interview, you're going to feel stupid, dumb, or ready to grow.
That's the best.
Because that's the best way to do it.
That's the best.
Erik, let's talk about your journey. How in the world did you even end up in LA coming from Alabama?
Okay. So I didn't come to LA because I wanted to. I came to LA because I felt I had confirmation that I was supposed to. 3 weeks before I moved to LA, I didn't have any idea I'd moved to LA. So it from the outside looking in, that would have seemed like a real whoa type of decision. Like, right. You just gonna bounce and go to LA with one guitar and one suitcase?
One guitar, one suitcase.
That's it. Right? So I did that because I stayed here with a friend for 3 weeks and just hung out. And I ended up making more money than I would have made if I stayed home. Just because I just got gigs while I was here. Nobody knew I was coming. I just got gigs. So that was clue number one. But again, I need confirmation. I'm not going to uproot the whole situation and move to LA based upon the first thing I see, even if it's 3 weeks long. Right? So it's like, okay, well, higher power. If you want me to do something, you can show me again.
Wow. Because
you can do anything, right? So you will. If you really want me to go out there, you'll give me some confirmation. Because, like, just to get on a plane and go to California,
I got to know.
I got to know. I can't think.
Right.
I got to know. So about 3 weeks later, I got a call. Hey, do you want to work for the second largest church, this second largest AME church this side of Mississippi for 3 months? And I was like, if they hire me, not ever hearing me play anything, and they got 2,000 members, that's confirmation.
They didn't hear me.
I'm not auditioning. I'm not playing nothing. If they hire me, I'm never coming back. And they did. So I left.
That was the only confirmation you needed.
That's all I needed. I needed that, but that's all I needed.
And that led you.
Once I left, I knew I was never coming back. There was never a thought of, what if this works? No.
And what does music mean for you?
Ooh, man. When you think about the fact that music is the only thing on earth that reaches the subconscious without the filter of the conscious.
Wait, hold on. Did y'all just... I told you about to feel stupid. Continue.
Music is not dependent upon your conscious mind. It reaches your subconscious without the filter. It's the only thing that does that. Nothing you see does that. And most things you hear don't do that, but music does that. That's why it affects the way you are and the way you do things quicker than other things do. And your memory. If you set things to music, you'll remember. It's because it goes straight to your subconscious. Now, if you're affecting somebody on a subconscious level, you are the closest thing on earth to mind control. So, think about the responsibility of that. We're the people that make the thing that controls people's minds without their knowledge or input.
Without their knowledge or input.
You're being affected.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the ways you know of that is because is when you're a church musician. Because I know you wouldn't be doing this if I didn't do this on the organ. Right. How come if I lift my hands, the Holy Spirit leaves too? Who's the Holy Spirit? Is it me? Right? Because you don't want to hear that. So, they don't want to hear that. Right, because why do I even have to do this for somebody who's omnipresent and always there to affect you the way he's affecting you right now when I just happen to be doing this? It's because of the power of music.
Pause.
We just talking.
Commercial break.
Just talking.
Do you feel dumb yet?
We just talking.
Do you feel...
It's just conversation among brothers.
Erik.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Griggs.
Yes.
Bluetooth.
Yeah.
You got people connecting on a whole different level of thinking right now.
Well, that's why I call myself Bluetooth.
What even led you to start researching the theory of music at that level?
Ooh. I think it's things I picked up along the way. What I am is always tuned in. So whether or not I'm actively researching, I'm always tuned in. So any information that pertains to me that happens around me, it's getting cataloged. So there's learning and there's passive learning. Because as you matriculate through life, you'll hear things. It can be a decision what you're tuned into that you hear. I heard a lot of things. And the things that pertain to the what I'm going to do with my life, because I knew it at such an early age, I tuned into those things and said, okay. I wasn't researching when I found out that music affects the subconscious mind first. This is something that was told to me. Now, then, of course, I look into it, but I heard it and was like, wow, what a responsibility that I have.
So you had this thought process coming to LA with your guitar in your backpack.
For sure.
Now, you went to Oakwood.
Yeah.
Which is a musical school.
It's a very musical school. And it's not because of the school. It's because of the people that go to the school.
And you grew up SDA.
Yeah.
What was that life like?
I was just talking to someone else who's former SDA about the fact that I wouldn't change growing up SDA. Because there's things about me that I like that I know I got from there. I wouldn't stay there, but I wouldn't have changed being there in the first place. So it's like a diminishing returns thing, right? Those first formative years, they provide a certain amount of, not necessarily, it's not as, it can be rigid, but for me, it was just on purpose. Everything was intentional about my life. So I don't know haphazard, right? I don't know just things happening, just doing things. I don't really just do anything. I don't really just say anything.
There's an intent behind it.
Everything is intentional, and I think part of that may have come from that type of upbringing. And I like that. I want to keep it. Whether I'm in church every Saturday or not, I want to keep that.
Now that has made you become a great businessman, a great role model in the music business for the last 20, 30 years. When you moved out here and you had your guitar in your bag and you had this mindset, you had this experience, you had faith on a different level. What is it about LA that attracted you here?
Well, so the confirmation was here. Beyond the fact that it's just LA in the first place, it's the Mecca. So I was in the Mecca of Black Adventism, leaving there and going to the Mecca of the music business. There's no greater place to gain the equity that you can gain and associate with your name as you can here. That equity can be cashed in anywhere.
Can be cashed in
anywhere. Once you build that equity, you can spend it and you can cash it in anywhere. But if you gain that equity somewhere else, it's not as much equity to cash in other places. So I was just telling somebody, you don't necessarily reap in the same field that you sowed in.
Why is that?
Well,
that's like an oxymoron. Why? I mean, why?
Well, because if God is in the equation, right, then what goes out comes in. Does it matter which direction? right? So if I'm going to sow here, it's the act of sowing that puts me in the flow of good. It's not the place where I sowed.
You gotta say that again for the people in the back. It's the act of sowing
that places me in the flow, in the current of good. Right? It's the value that I bring to the table that puts me in the flow of what's good. Where I find myself is where it will be. It will find me because I found where I'm supposed to put it. People get too caught up in the field. I'm supposed to, if I give to you, I'm supposed to get back from you.
Shut the front door.
So then you can't forgive people because you think they owe you.
Ow!
What you did for them could come back from anywhere, and it's not your job to know or even think about.
Because it's true. When a farmer plants seeds, the farmer recognizes that the seed he planted over there somehow produced harvest over here. Because people don't see the roots connecting. To build a firm what? Foundation. So what you're speaking is true. You're looking to reap from people you sowed into, and reality is the act of your sowing.
Okay, but if this soil is not as good as this soil,
my God,
but this seed connected over here underground, this is going to be a better tree. Would you want to get it from the same place where you planted? No, you wouldn't. That's not as good a tree.
Because you never know the intent of that person.
You know.
Or the condition.
But again, it's not my job to know, and I don't need to know. All I need to know is the value I'm bringing to the table and to continue to do that.
So you knew you were bringing value to LA.
Yes.
You knew the seed that you were getting ready to plant was going to outgrow you.
Yeah.
And that's why you're here today doing what you do, because
absolutely
you've done a lot of great things in the space of producing. Who are some of the top artists that you've written for, that people still listen to today?
Dr. Dre, Eminem, Snoop, Kanye on the hip-hop side. I worked on the Dreamgirls soundtrack with Beyonce and Eddie Murphy and Jamie Foxx and Jennifer Hudson. I did No Air for Jordin Sparks and Chris Brown.
Wait, hold on. Did you? He just said it. Huh? Listen to those names. You wrote No Air, Jordin Sparks.
I'm the principal contributor.
Because that song came out when?
2000. Well, it came out late 2007.
You know what's crazy? Hey, baby, my wife, forgive me. But I used to sing that song to women.
Come on.
And say, how can I breathe?
Hey,
No air.
How am I supposed to do
and
that?
I say, I got to be Chris Brown, you Jordin Sparks.
Hey. Again.
But that was your pen.
I was affecting your mind without your knowledge.
You tapped into my zip code and didn't even tell me you was in.
Of course.
You a hacker. You a hacker.
Yes. And I teach people how to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like writing your first hit song? And what was the name of that hit song?
I think the first hit was No Air. You know, it always sounds... I'm always scared of how it's going to sound when I answer this question. When you put a cake in the oven and the time has reached when it should be done, you're not surprised that it's done. Right? It's the fullness of time that's going to do what it's supposed to do. All the ingredients are there. The heat has been added to the equation in a closed environment. 30 minutes later, we're going to have this. That's how I felt.
But I respect that. You know why? Because you respected the process.
Yes.
You understood with your humility that you already put over that 10,000 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. You worked with, I mean, you still today, you are the right-hand person for Dr. Dre and producing. Yeah. Just think about it, right?
I'm in.
You're in this, right?
It's working.
Right? But you've established a firm foundation in your relationship.
Yeah.
And you've established your worth ethic in a place where you built value.
Yeah.
It was time for you to reap.
It was time to reap.
The greatness that you've been already.
So I'm actually thinking about the next seed to plant when that's coming to fruition. It's not that I'm not thinking about it or appreciating it, because I am appreciating it, but I'm appreciating it in the grand scheme of my purpose for existence. And that doesn't fulfill my purpose for existence. That is a step toward the fulfillment of the purpose for my existence, which I know is greater than putting out a big record.
So what is one reminder that you tell yourself every day to remind you that you are good at what you do?
Practice. I don't tell myself nothing. I keep practicing. I tell myself, you rusty on that, and then I practice it.
Excuse me for that one. Because, you know,
That's what I tell myself.
I ain't gonna lie. You have me sitting here, I'm like, oh, he's about to drop it. And I'm pretty sure somebody watching like, oh, he about to drop it. And you said the key word.
Yeah.
Practice.
I don't tell myself I'm sweet. I tell myself I'm rusty. Then I practice. Oh, you nice at playing. Who can't? Like, what?
Wow, Eric.
I play 5 instruments.
Come on.
You gotta be rusty at things.
Yeah.
You know, people tell you your rust is like somebody else's 100%. Yeah, I don't compare myself
Wow.
to anything but me yesterday. I should always be better than him.
You should always be better than him. Listen,
And
Eric.
rust is not being better than him. So then I'm like, okay, I need to spend some time on guitar right now because I'm not as fluid as I was at this particular time. And I know that there's some things I can do better, but there's also some things that I don't do as well. I need to concentrate on. These are the thoughts that I have about what I do. Not, I'm nice.
But that's what the average person should do.
Yes.
It's how the average person should process or evaluate how they're going to scale
Yes.
with their gift, right? How they're
Yes.
going to scale with their skills, right?
Yes.
Because we are all are on this earth and we are responsible to scale
We are responsible to scale.
with the
It's called
gift that
being
we've
a
been
steward.
given,
Yeah.
right? The Bible talks about being a good steward,
Right.
right? So that's important.
Right.
But we're gonna come right back. We got more coming your way with the Erik Griggs right here on the Reflection Show, aka Bluetooth. Are you connected yet? Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back to Getting Some More Headaches. Yeah, and you know, because Bluetooth is, like I said, he's never shared his story. You've never heard his voice on any other platform, and we are blessed to have him on the Reflection Show to share some of his thoughts. But I want to dive in this next session to talk about the music business, about protecting your business and protecting the passion behind what you do. So, Eric, you know, let's dive into that. Because a lot of people fall in love with music. A lot of artists come into LA or come into the industry and they're like, oh, I'm going to make it big.
Yes.
I'm going to build my success overnight.
Yeah.
But there is a different side of the business
Yeah, man.
that you've encountered that you know what it takes to become a Usher or
Right.
a Beyonce or whatever artist that is big right now. So talk a little bit about the music business, the good and the bad.
Okay, so let's go back to value, right? If you're predisposed with bringing value, a lot of this kind of thing will take care of itself. I think in inspiring people and telling people what to do, it can be very overwhelming because we put the effects before the cause. So they're concentrated on all these effects that they want to create, but if they were to do this, it would take care of that, right? So let's go to the root. Let's say this would be a root. Concentrate on what kind of value. If you concentrate on what kind of value you can bring to the table, you're naturally going to understand that you can't bring value that you've not put into yourself. Right? That's a logical next thought.
Right.
I have to be good. Right? When you're thinking extract, I want to take whatever I got right now and get. And a lot of the music that we have in the world right now is
That's
a
what it
result
is.
of that mentality.
That's it. Because you can hear the greed in the sound of what's being released.
I want to take whatever I am right now and offer it to somebody in a way that they'll like it enough to pay me for it. Okay. Whatever,
I felt that one. I don't know. Something came across your mind.
you might make some money, bro. But I care about my name because my name is the ultimate equity. That's where I place my equity. I associate that with my name.
So basically, you're saying you are a byproduct of who you are.
Yeah. what I put into myself. So I don't believe in myself, right? I'll be like, you gotta believe in yourself. I don't believe in myself. Nothing that I do is because I'm me. I don't do anything that's good simply because I'm the one who did it. That doesn't happen. I believe in the value that I have meticulously, intentionally placed inside of me. That's what I'm drawing from when I do something for whoever the star is that we want to talk about.
That's true, because if your car doesn't have gas, how can you say you're going to get somewhere?
You can't offer anything because you're you. I'd still be me if I couldn't do anything. And I'd be believing myself in the studio.
So when you work with artists, that's the first thing, your method that you see is their value system.
Yeah.
On their perspective of how they see it.
Well, that also informs me of how to best bring them value. Because I have to bring you value as you see it. And if I see it differently, I have to lead you from that place to where I want to lead you to. I have to know your perspective because that's point A. Whether it's point B or not. I might be taking you exactly to where you find value, but I might also be saying, it would be such a better idea if you did this, and you just don't know that. If I present this to you, I have to present it to you in a way that from your perspective, you can see it. So it's a triangle of perspective, and I got to see all three as a music producer.
And that's how you determine.
Which is a word that is over you. You're not a music producer until you think much like that. Making a track in your laptop does not make you a music. It doesn't make you a producer of nothing. Right? Producer is not a word that's confined to music. Producer is a word, right? It means a thing. And it doesn't matter what you apply it to. It means a person who gathers resources, human, time, money, all types of resources.
Right.
And makes a task happen. That's what a producer is. If you are a record producer, then you are the one who organized the making of a record. A track is a part of that record. If you made the track, that was also used in a record, which also requires lyric and melody and singing and a studio to record in and money to pay for it. If you didn't organize all that, then you didn't produce anything.
And that's a technical way of describing it. And that's why people should be involved with your school, your university that you have. Share your university. How should people connect?
So Blu2th University is a YouTube site. That's one part of my educational efforts. I also am an adjunct professor at some universities like the Leeds Conservatory of Music in Leeds in the UK. I just came back from Halifax, West Yorkshire, teaching at Calderdale College. I'm speaking with Berkeley about a lot of things. So, physically going there, doing Zoom masterclasses. And honestly, my biggest source of infotainment is Instagram, because my live is set up in a way where I make music right in front of you.
I love that, because once again, the business is all about infotainment.
Yeah.
Right? It's connecting the two and understanding that you can only survive as long as the information that you have.
Yes.
Right? Being educated and not being misguided, because this industry can swallow you because you have a gift.
Boy.
Right?
Yeah.
The enemy will take your gift and manipulate it and make you feel like you're going to be rewarded with something at the end. In reality, piece by piece, your identity is being stripped away.
Yeah.
What is one situation you dealt with where you knew this artist was great, but because of the lack of their business knowledge, you knew that it was going to affect their longevity in the game?
Sometimes it's lack of business knowledge, and sometimes it's lack of people skills. They're related, but they're two different things. And sometimes, and they can actually, one can negate the other. Because say you're in a negotiation situation where you're presented a deal that isn't exactly fulfilling for you, the act of negotiation is what will tell them about who they will be working with. Then it's the people skills that inform how much they want to change your deal. So why would I change a deal to get into business over time with somebody I don't like?
Some people say it's a sacrifice.
And the act of you convincing me to do this for you is you making me not like you. How's that going to work?
It doesn't work.
How's that going to work? The only way that works is if I like you at least as much or more while we're in negotiation. That's your leverage. One of the things I told my students at college was never go in front of your leverage. Your leverage should always be in front of you, right?
Say that again. Never go in front of your leverage.
Of your leverage. If your leverage is back here and you're trying to be in front, right? So what happens is the one mistake that will leave you careerless, like that's an ending thing. That's not a thing that you normally come back from. When people know you're a person who thinks that you justify more than you actually do, and you negotiate based upon a value that is higher than you have. Right? So you have to build your leverage. Your leverage is the perception of what you have. It's not what you have.
True.
If somebody thinks you're better than you are, your leverage is what they think until they find out.
So is that something your mentors have taught you? Is that something you developed over time, working in the studio with elite artists, and you're seeing some of these things that these younger artists are not gravitating to?
I think it's my mind being free to pay attention to the things I need to pay attention to. And what frees your mind to do that is being good before you get here. Right? If you come to here meaning whatever the Mecca is, wherever you're going to be, what you're going to be. For me, it was LA. If you come to LA trying to figure out your craft,
You're done. You're fried.
Because you're going to have to figure out the business on the fly. You can't know the business before you get here. You can know things about the business, you can know general concepts, but the business changes so quickly until you have to be able to pivot based upon what you see at the current moment. If you're still occupied with trying to figure out how to do what you do to even bring the value to the table that would make you need to pivot,
Right.
then you don't have a mind that's free to even find out what's going on and how these people are trying to take advantage of you.
So I want to know, what did you lose to get here?
Woo! To get here. I probably lost some comfort. Right? So I left the third lowest cost of living in the United States to come to LA.
With a backpack and a guitar with no laptop.
No laptop. No car. So, yeah. When I was in Huntsville, Alabama, I had a nice apartment. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, washer and dryer, 2 walk-in closets. I just want you to ask me what my rent was.
That's Alabama. I'm country, so I already know. It's probably about $325, $400.
It was $440, so it was expensive.
At that time.
I was really paying some real money.
Hello.
$440.
Damn. And you came to LA.
And I left there, spent my last money on the plane ticket to get here.
You left all your mule and your cattle.
Yeah, and sold everything I had for $600. And came here to the third highest cost of living in the country.
But you know what, though? There's one thing in the in-between that I see here. You understood your value.
Yeah. I wouldn't have gone if I didn't know that I was overqualified.
And, of course, the season you moved here, you were mature enough mentally to prepare for the storm that was
inevitable. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went into the storm. That's what I did.
Come on. Because the storm makes us.
Here's the thing, though. I'm above the clouds now. That's the game, right? The storm only exists under the clouds.
Come on.
There's a whole lot of sky above the clouds. But most people never see that sky. So they just live in the part that whatever its whim is will affect you. Because gravity pulls things below that. But when you get above the clouds, it can be all the storm it wants to be. You don't exist there.
So when you first
But you don't get there without going through the storm part. So the whole thing about the storm is how do I get through it upwardly and not just sideways? Yeah, if you go this way, the storm will pass. If you go this way, the storms won't come. That's where you want to be.
That's what I call dancing on the clouds.
Yeah.
Because when the storm is beneath you,
And again, your mind is now free. What is my legacy going to be? It's freeing your mind of thoughts that shouldn't be there so you can think of things that should. I shouldn't be figuring out how to make records when I get to California.
You should already know.
Because my leverage is going to be behind me. Somebody's going to ask me, can you do something? And I'm going to have to say no. They're going to remember me as the guy that couldn't do that. I don't want that to happen once. Ever.
At all.
None times. Right? And it hasn't. But it hasn't because of when I came. I didn't come at 17. I came at 27.
Come on.
It would have been a big difference.
Completely.
It would have been a huge difference. I learned so much between 18 and 22. I mean, I didn't even play the guitar until I was 19.
Wow.
I play 5 instruments now. I
So
only
you would've
played
came-
piano until I was 19.
You would have came here with some trouble.
I couldn't have possibly grown like I did in that incubation chamber that Huntsville was in the thick of LA.
But that's one thing. I know that's one thing God reminded me when I was working door to door, that He was telling me that they're paying you for your destiny.
Yeah.
And sometimes people get frustrated at a job,
Mm.
and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I hate this place,"
Yeah.
without realizing the job is teaching you something that's going to position you for your destiny. Working door to door taught me people. It taught me sales. It taught me hunger. It taught me to be a go-getter. But then also it taught me how to run a company. And now, here I am,
And now.
7 years in,
Yeah.
pursuing something greater than I ever saw myself. But I took those nuggets and I used those nuggets to help me and remind me that I have more to what I have. And same thing for you.
Yeah.
And I got one more question because we're going to have to end this show. We're going to have to definitely do a part 2. Because
Let's go.
we're going to have to do a part
You
2.
can zoom in or whatever you want to do.
No, it's not 2. I'm going to come back out here. We're going to do a part 2. I don't believe in Zoom.
All right.
All my audience
I didn't
know
mean to hit a
hate
nerve
Zoom.
now. I mean, I'm sorry.
But when you first met Dr. Dre,
Yeah.
what was that like, and what have you learned from him?
Ooh-wee. All right, so when I first met Dr. Dre, I felt like we weren't strangers. I felt like I was continuing a pre-existing relationship that didn't exist. We dapped up, and we went to his living room. I met him in his house, and we started talking about, what do you think about this scene in Straight Outta Compton, which hadn't come out yet? And we're talking about that, and then we go upstairs and we work on soundtrack for 12 hours, and I've been retained ever since. So it was just like, I just walked into a place where it was a formality to walk into. So that's kind of how it felt. It felt like a natural progression, and it's been a joy ever since.
Eric, I am so disappointed.
Oh, you said what did he teach me?
Not even that. I'm just so disappointed. I don't even have enough time. But yes, tell me, what did he teach you? Oh my God.
There was something I thought of recently, and I'm trying to remember what it was because it was like a very significant thing. Okay, one thing that Dre told me, it's not always musical, the thing that you're going to learn from a musician. You know, so it's really what you're learning from greatness. It's what you're learning from a great thinker. So even if you confine yourself to what am I going to learn about production from this person, the reason they produce that way is because of who they are. Learn from who they are, not what they do. Of course you'll apply who you are to what you do, right? It's, again, cause and effect, right? Who are you? One time I was on the phone with him and he was like, I'm a right now guy. So what do you mean by that? He said, I asked him for a favor and he did it immediately. Like, we had a conversation, and every time I asked him for anything,
It was right now.
if he says yes, it doesn't happen a month from now. It happens immediately.
So he's a man of his word.
He's not just a man of his word.
Principle driven.
He's a man of his word now.
Now.
Right? That's the step, right? I'm a man of my word. That's why he respects me. But it just got me to thinking in every area of my life. Like when he said that, he said, you know, that's one of the reasons I'm in this position is because when I think of something, I do it then. I was like, this is not music production. This is successful thinking. This is being a successful person.
Wow.
And everything, like, I just think about that sometimes. And I'm like, man, I've walked from the living room to my bed. I've walked from my living room to the kitchen 3 times, and this bowl is still in the living room. Why is this bowl still in the living room? I've been back and forth to the kitchen. I think of little stuff like that. But those things will train your mind to think of the things that will matter. If I can take care of this now, if this is the moment that this should be taken care of, I'm going to seize this moment.
Do it now.
Not later. This is the moment, so do it now. Whatever you have to sacrifice to do, whatever you're not doing, this is what should be done now. Do it now. So when you think of something, write it down. When you tell somebody yes, do it then or put it in your schedule. Right? Your yeses should be followed up immediately by some type of action, whether it's doing the thing or just placing it on your schedule. Just the conversation with Dre saying, I'm going to write now, dude.
Pivot you.
Made me think of things. I should do things now more often.
And let me ask you this question. Just the last question. Looking at that camera, what is a right now word that you can share with someone that's going to mentor their destiny forever?
Your ego is not your amigo. I got that from Dr. Dre.
Your ego is not your amigo.
Okay. All your ego is ever going to tell you is, that's right, do more of that. Yes, that's it. That's all it's ever going to tell you, because that's all ego knows how to tell you. So none of those things invoke growth. And all of them can place you behind your leverage. Or in front of your leverage, where you're saying, I want this because my ego is telling me that I support that value, that I justify that value, and you don't, right? So one time I was playing for a church service, and somebody came up to me and they said, dude, do you ever mess up? I played at the church for 12 years at the time.
12 years.
And that person had been there the whole time. And they were like, do you ever mess up? So there's weight on that, because I've been playing in front of you for 12 years. And I was like, yes. Like, there was unequivocally, absolutely, yes, I mess up. So he was like, well, really? I said, dude, okay, you hear what I do. I hear the difference between what I did and what I intended to do. Nobody else hears that. Number 2, if I mess up, I'm going to recover quickly because I think it's okay to mess up.
Right.
So messing up is part of doing anything to me. So I don't mind messing up, so I'm not going to panic when I do. Right? So I'm going to recover extremely quickly, and you're probably just going to think it was a cool thing that I did, and it may be. I don't know. I saw it as a mistake.
Right.
So I can't even see the perspective of that sounded good most of the time. So yeah, I messed up. He said, well, who's better than you? I gave him 3 names. If you're talking about this instrument, technical prowess, these people are better than me. He's just looking at me like, assess and reassess. How good are you? How good are you? You should know that. We're talking about value, right? Value has a number. A $10 bill has $10 in value. How much value do you have? How much can you bring to the table? Are you ready to walk into this room because you know what this room requires? Can you fulfill that amount of value? If not, do not walk into that room.
Right.
Because you're ahead of your leverage. And somebody's going to require something of you that you can't do. That's not the reputation you want.
And I like that. I like that, Blu2th, because it brings me back to what you said. Your ego is not
your amigo.
Your amigo. Listen, guys, we're going to have to do a part 2. I'm going to come back to LA I got to capture more of this incredible mind, this wisdom, this
You sure you don't want
this hidden gem. I
come
mean,
all the way back.
come on, can we just clap it up for Erik? Come on, Blu2th. We got an audience in the background. I mean, yo, this is Ramses Rizard on The Reflection Show. Thank you so much for watching. All the way right here in LA with the one and only Mr. Blu2th. Hey, and remember, your experience matters. Thank you so much for watching.
What you get is what you see on The Reflection Show.